Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about how to rekindle romance in a relationship. Okay, so if you feel like the romance in your relationship has gone and there's not enough intimacy anymore, you two aren't getting together as much anymore, perhaps you're not spending a lot of time together and you just feel like the magic is gone. So what can you do then to rekindle the romance in your relationship? So the best thing that you can do is a series of different things. Actually, there's no one that is better than the other, but you need to do basically all of these things in order to keep the romance going long term, right? So it's not just like a quick fix to get you some romance tonight, right? It's something that can, if you keep up with these things, you can have a romantic, lovely relationship for your entire life with your partner or your spouse, okay? And keep the romance alive long term as well as just for the moment, okay? So one of the first points I want to get into is that you have to keep on dating each other. You have to keep on showing up like how you did at the beginning of the relationship, okay? So generally what happens is that the beginning of the relationship is like you're doing so much together, you're spending so much time together, and then what happens is you get into the law of familiarity, right? Basically what that means is the longer you spend with someone or something, the more you start taking it for granted. Okay, so what you need to do then is that you need to realize that this fact, right? And the fact is that the way that you got your partner is how you keep your partner, right? So you have to keep on dating them. So think back on how you two were when you first met. What were you doing? How much time would you spend together? What kind of things would you do together, right? How would you dress, right? Now, obviously, if you met each other when you were really young, you may not be dressing in the same way as you did back then because obviously trends change. But maybe you were dressing well and you were putting in a lot of effort in what you were wearing. Right? Perhaps you kept your hair nicely groomed. Perhaps you wore makeup if you're a woman, things like that. Right, so if you were doing a lot of that kind of stuff, right, and you got to think back on the activities that you two would do together, you got to keep that going. You got to keep doing that, right? Now, it may be true that you may not have enough time to do it as often as you did when you were younger, when you first got together, right? But you can still definitely implement it to 1 or 2 nights a month at least, okay? Ideally, you'd want to do something like a date night every week, okay? But I understand that if you've got kids or you've got other commitments that you need to be working on and doing, you may not have the same amount of time as you once did. But the point is that you still try and keep it up. You still try and do those things, even if it's just once or twice a month, okay? So what you got to realize is that dating each other never ends. It never ever ends. And if you stop dating each other and spending quality time together like that, then yeah, your romance is going to slide very, very rapidly, okay? So the next thing that I want to talk about is the polarity needs to remain intact. So what I mean by that is that in any relationship, it doesn't matter if you're straight, it doesn't matter if you're gay, lesbian, whatever. Okay, there's usually one that's more masculine and there's usually one that's more feminine, okay? And basically, what happens is when people get together and they've been together for a long time, what can sometimes happen is that because they've spent so much time together, right, they start acting and behaving like each other, right? So the woman becomes more masculine or the fella becomes more feminine, right? And they start to become more and more like each other, right? And that's when they become more like friends or roommates instead of lovers, okay? So in order to keep the polarity up, then you've got to basically go back to how you were, again, like when you first started dating. You've got to think of like, oh, how would I dress? How would I have my hair? Right? How would I behave? Okay? Right? Because in order for there to be attraction, there has to be polarity. It's like North and South Pole. So if you think about it in that terms, those attract, okay? And it's the same with femininity and masculinity. They attract. So if you want to get back to the romance, then you need to get back to those roles and you need to start behaving like you did. So if you're a woman watching this, then you need to start acting more feminine like how you did at the beginning of the relationship, right? Start dressing the way that you used to do, right? And things like that. And having your hair the way you used to do, the way you used to do your makeup, the way you used to like act and behave, right? And it's the same with guys. right? How did you used to behave? How did you used to have your hair? How did you used to dress? Okay, were you more of a leader? You know, things like that. Were you more decisive? Or have you gotten to the point where you're more worried about what she thinks and you're trying not to bother her, right? And things like that. And you're trying to get her to be the leader. Things like that, right? So you need to become more masculine again, okay? And that should help with regaining the attraction, okay? So another thing that's really important as well is communication. Now, an amazing book on communication and how our communication styles are different between men and women is Men Are From Mars and Women From Venus. Because what the trouble is that I see with couples when it comes to communication is men expecting women to act and think like men and to communicate like men, and women wanting men to act and think and communicate like women. Okay, and when we do that, that causes a lot of problems, causes a lot of arguments. But once you realize the differences between how men communicate and how women communicate, right, and you really understand that, then you'll know basically how to communicate with your partner, right, that doesn't make them angry, right? And if they're angry, and you can kind of like nurture them, and you can validate their feelings and things like that, and you can understand why they do the things they do, then you're going to get less frustrated with them, and they're going to get less frustrated with you. And if you're more happy and you know how to communicate with each other, then you're going to be a happier couple. And if you're a happier couple, then the intimacy will just happen again. So that's a really good resource for you. Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus. Highly recommend that you do. If you're interested in checking out any other books that I recommend, then I highly recommend that you go and check out the ones in the description of this video. There are affiliate links in that description and in that link. So if you do purchase any books through the link, I will get a small commission, but it will be no of additional charge to you. So that's really important. And it's also a great way to support me and support my work if you would like to. But alternatively, you could just write down the titles of those books. Just go and check it on that link. Look at the titles, write them down, and go and check them out at your local library for free, or buy them cheaper somewhere else. Like you can go to eBay and get cheaper alternatives. Okay, but if you want to show your appreciation, that would be one of the ways that you could do it. So thank you very much if you do. Right. So the last thing that I want to talk about is presence. Okay, it's really important that you're present with your partner. Not presents as in gifts, right? Obviously gifts are nice to give to your partner, but they're not necessary. Okay, it's more important that you give the gift of your time and attention, right? So when your partner comes to you and they're talking to you and they want to have a conversation with you, whatever it may be, it's a good idea to stop whatever it is that you're doing. This is one of the best ways you can show how much you care about your partner. Drop whatever it is that you're doing. Obviously, if you're holding a child, don't drop the child. But you get my point, right? You've got to stop whatever it is that you're doing and look at them and pay attention to them and listen to what they're saying to you. Right? This is one of the best ways you can do that. Right? One of the best ways you can offer your presence is and to show them how much you care by stopping whatever it is that you're doing. You switch the TV off. You switch the game console off. You switch off Netflix or you pause Netflix, right? And you turn to them and listen to what they're saying, right? And have a conversation with them, okay? Because it might be something really important or it may not be, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're giving your presence and your attention, right? And that's what she wants, and that's what he wants most of the time as well. They want to know that you care, okay? And the best way to show that you care is when they're talking to you to stop what you're doing, okay? And that's one of the greatest ways that you can actually do that. So those are some ways that you can rekindle the romance in your relationship. If you manage to do all of these things, then you're gonna have your relationship should get straight back on track. Okay, if it doesn't, then there may be some other underlying issues there. Okay, but if you're with someone that still loves you, then these things should rekindle the romance. Okay, so if you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.ChristineLoveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.